When you least expect it. We're going to get to that in a little bit. We're changing around guests today, right?
Yeah.
Instead,
right.
We're going to start with Miss Mary Abbajay over here to my right. You're going to talk to us about the hot topic of the day.
Yeah, running into that old flame. And what do you do? I mean, this is a myriad of emotions that are conjured up from longing to disdain to
horror to fear to anger, and yeah, it can be really difficult.
You have the proper ways of how you should do it. Is it okay to run away?
No.
Okay.
Well, if you want to be a cowardly lion, it is. Well, there's three things that you should remember, and this all depends on whether you're the dumpy or the dumper, right, or how painful it was. But I want you to be, gracious. I want you to be composed. And I want you to be cognizant that this might be very difficult for both you and the other person.
Even if
so in other
boyfriend?
words, leave the hitman at home?
Leave the hitman at home. Well, the other thing is, chances are if you're running into them, you may not, it might come as a surprise, right? So you have to get composed. Get yourself together, breathe deeply. It's not the end of the world. Don't run away unless you are absolutely so emotionally unstable that you have to.
But this is the fundamental problem with it.
Yeah.
You are, in 99% of the cases, it is going to be totally unexpected. It's going to be when the elevator door opens,
and it's when you have not taken a shower. Your hair's
exactly right.
You're in your glasses.
Mascara's going to be smeared. That's exactly right.
That's what happens.
And you'll be in public, so that's why it must be composed, because your behavior is going to reflect on you. The people around you, when you do this screaming fit, don't know that he was the biggest jerk ever. Be composed, be gracious. It's simply like, hi, Natasha.
Hello.
So good to see you. You look well. Are things going well? That's it. That's all you have to do.
But what if it happens when he has the hot new chick right next to him and you look like hell?
Okay, well, first of all, stay composed, stay gracious. You don't have to engage in some lengthy, and then yesterday I did this and tomorrow I'm doing that. You can be brief and get out, but you must be kind. Introduce yourself to the new girl and engage with her. Ask her a few questions and then say, it was really great seeing you both. I got to go, or I know you're really busy. We'll talk to you later. But be nice to the new girl. Be the
Mary, what you're talking about here is absolutely
maturity,
perfect.
Right?
Yes, maturity and absolutely perfect behavior,
which
in those spontaneous moments, most people are just not going to be able to draw upon.
See, I think you can. I think if you think about it ahead of time, I think if you take a moment, like you should always kind of practice difficult situations in your mind ahead of time. If you just take a moment to breathe deeply, all you have to do in that moment is just be mature and give 30 seconds of face time. You don't have to engage for a long time. You don't have to do a follow-up.
Here's the other thing. Here's the other thing I noticed. Both of you, I notice, I think. This is my observation.
What do you notice? What do you notice?
I think you're both speaking as if you were the dumpy.
Oh, exactly.
Because you're talking
I'll
about
have you know, never.
Never?
You've never been the dumpy?
Except in junior high.
You've never, just once. Well,
I won't name his name.
I'm harkening back to, I just finished
reading
reading Steve Martin's autobiography, and he talks about losing a girlfriend when he was, I think, in junior high or high school. So he was young. And he got a bit of sage advice from somebody who said, don't worry about that. It'll happen lots. And he found great comfort in that.
And that's true. Yeah. But you raise an important point. If you're the dumpy or the dumper, it's going to be much more difficult. And there's going to be a difference. It also depends whether it's a 3-month thing or a 3-year thing. When you're the dumpy, it's definitely going to be more painful. Composure is, really required. When you're the dumper, what you have to be is cognizant that that's going to be harder for the other person. Like if I dumped you, Doug, I'm going to have no problem walking up and saying, hey, how's it going? Because I'm in the position of power. Now you're going to respond by either fleeing or getting all flustered or being, men take this much more hard. So I have to be aware that how you respond to me is isn't like throwing a battle. It's not like throwing, a first shot, but it might just be difficult for you. So being aware whether you're the dumper or the dumpy.
How many times have you dumped a girl?
I don't know, a handful. I mean, after a couple dates where you just know what the chemistry wasn't there or whatever,
You broken any hearts, made them cry?
I'm sure, yeah.
I'm sure.
I'm sure, yes. Now, what happens if you run into an ex when you're with your current?
I think you just avoid. You just avoid.
See, that's Mel's answer. What would you do if you ran into an ex with your current?
Flaunt it.
Flaunt it.
Just kidding. I would be very nice. I mean,
you would walk up and be gracious, and that's the difference between men and women, how they interact in situations like this. Men really do tend to avoid it.
See, I would say that's the opposite. I would say that women tend to want to avoid.
I think we feel like we need to just clear the air and show them, I'm okay, you're okay, or else it's going to haunt us.
A woman that you've dumped and gutted might avoid you, but I think you're right. I think other than that, women are much more relationship oriented, so they're going to tend to want to make nice much sooner than men.
I think that women tend to want to avoid the discomfort of the awkward meeting, so that if they see the person that they've just dumped, they're going to take a right turn and walk down a different street.
I think we don't want the discomfort, but at the same time, we want to show you that we're okay and we look good and see what you're missing.
See, but every time I've been dumped,
they've avoided you?
No, they've avoided even suggesting that they were dumped. They say that I want some time to myself, or.
But when they see you publicly, do they run
away? They'll say,
change their phone numbers.
I'm tired of you. I'm bored of you. I like this guy over here, so get out of my life.
So get out. But
they never say that.
But in a town like Washington, you have to realize that we're a small town. So avoiding or fleeing may not be the best strategy.
Actually, you know, it's very similar to the strategy that you would use in a business relationship.
That's exactly right. Be cordial, be polite, be gracious, but you do not have to follow up. You do not have to have coffee with this person, but you do have to be nice because you don't know who they know who knows you.
Exactly.
That is a good point. The other thing I want to bring up is work relationships.
Yeah.
How do you even go on with that? Maybe you work on different floors, different departments. But
that's really tough.
It is, and this is why you need to have the conversation when you start a work relationship. What's going to happen when things go south? And that's when you absolutely must maintain composure. You absolutely must maintain some sort of a relationship facade, if you will, because you cannot be dragging it in, other employees, your colleagues, into it. People have to see your maturity. They have to see that you're able to conduct a relationship, at least be civil with this person, if not actually having to work with them. It can be really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
yeah, it sure can. Now, what?
So
this is, you know, we don't generally talk about things like this, but there are cases of people who are really psychologically unbalanced and they can't let go or whatever. What do you think?
In a case like that, if you are really gutted by the relationship, if you're really unbalanced, or you know your ex is really unbalanced, that would be the time when I would say flee. I would say maybe wave across the room and then remove yourself from the situation, because what will happen no matter what is it is going to bring up old feelings. And if one of the individuals in the relationship or in the past relationship is unstable with their feelings, you don't want to make it worse, right?
Yeah,
so if you know that you have a psycho ex-girlfriend and you see her somewhere, I would say, and that would be a good case where I'd say, okay, Doug, it's all right to flee.
Yeah. You know, it's probably another good piece of advice to offer in a case like that is to tell somebody, tell a friend or a close confidant about this situation, because if the worst happens to you, you want someone to know about.
And you're absolutely right, because if you're going to, when you have an encounter like that, the minute you're done, you should run in the bathroom, call your best friend, call your sister, call someone, and just vent and release it, because it is going to affect you, even if you don't think it is.
Phone a friend.
Phone a friend.
Good advice.
That's where you do your venting.
Mary Abbajay, thank you for coming. This was fun.
You are very psychologically balanced. I can always, the advice you give
what a compliment. What is he trying to say?
Now I'm blushing.
What are you trying to say? You didn't expect her to be balanced? Oh, thank you.
You too. I didn't mean that. But
he's like women. They're balanced. Wow.
We are. Thanks, Doug.